Welcome to this video on essential essay phrases. Today we'll explore 30 academic openers, linkers, and closers, designed to help you achieve a band 7+ score on your IELTS Task 2 essay. Our first phrase is, it is widely argued that. This formal opener is perfect for the start of an introduction, to introduce a common viewpoint or debate before stating your thesis. For example, it is widely argued that social media has done more harm than good. Next, use it is commonly believed that, to present a view held by the general public. This serves as an excellent opening line for introducing a popular opinion. An example would be, it is commonly believed that success depends mainly on talent. To attribute a viewpoint to a specific portion of the public in a discussion-style essay, you can use the phrase, many people hold the view that. For instance, you could write, many people hold the view that universities should be tuition-free. If your essay focuses on a modern issue, use the phrase, in recent years, there has been a growing debate over. This signals a contemporary and contested topic. For example, in recent years, there has been a growing debate over AI in education. For a direct thesis statement that outlines the scope of your essay, use, this essay will examine. Place this in the final sentence of your introduction. An example is, this essay will examine the main causes of urban congestion. When you need a thesis statement for an essay that asks you to discuss both views and give your opinion, use, this essay will discuss both views and give my opinion. This is most effective as the closing sentence of your introduction. For an agree or disagree essay, you need a strong, unambiguous position. You can use the phrase, I completely disagree with this opinion. For example, you might add, I completely disagree with this opinion for two main reasons. To introduce the first of two contrasting views at the beginning of your first body paragraph in a discussion essay, use, on the one hand. For instance, on the one hand, some argue that competitive sport builds character. Finally, use on the other hand to open your second body paragraph when introducing the contrasting or opposing view. You could say, on the other hand, others feel that competition can harm children. First and foremost, use this phrase to emphasize the most important point when beginning your strongest argument. For example, first and foremost, regular exercise is essential for mental health. Next is, furthermore. Use this mid-paragraph to add a supporting point and give more weight to your argument. For example, furthermore, regular reading improves long-term concentration. To add a stronger supporting point mid-paragraph, you can use the phrase, moreover. An example is, moreover, the policy sharply reduces long-term healthcare costs. If you need a simple additive linker to list an additional point, try, in addition. For instance, in addition, the scheme created thousands of new jobs. When you want to highlight a noteworthy further argument, use, another significant point is that. For example, another significant point is that tourism funds local conservation. To introduce a specific example immediately after a general claim, use the phrase, for instance. For example, Copenhagen's bike lanes cut city emissions sharply. For example, is the most common way to introduce supporting evidence. As seen here, for example, many cities now ban single-use plastics entirely. To showcase a particularly strong or well-known case, use, a prime example of this is. An example is, a prime example of this is Singapore's public housing model. When you need to set up a vivid example for clarity, use to illustrate. For example, to illustrate, renewable energy prices have fallen by over 80%. Finally, use however to pivot toward an opposing or qualifying point. For example, however, this trend also brings a number of serious challenges. Use nevertheless to offer a stronger contrast, signaling you are returning to your main argument after acknowledging a concession. For example, nevertheless, the benefits of the policy clearly outweigh the costs. When you need to acknowledge a counterpoint fairly before presenting your own argument, use, although it is true that. For instance, although it is true that cars offer convenience, their cost is high. To concede a specific fact while maintaining your original stance, try, despite the fact that. This is useful for showing contrast with known information, such as, despite the fact that wind power is intermittent, it remains vital. For a graceful way to admit a weakness or a point from the other side, use the word admittedly. It signals honesty, as in, admittedly, the initial setup costs can be high for many households. To describe a direct consequence or outcome of a cause, you can use the phrase, as a result. For example, as a result, air quality in the city center has improved markedly. If you are looking for a more formal way to link a cause to its effect, consequently is an excellent choice. It clearly draws a result, like, consequently, employment rates in the region began to rise. When stating what follows logically from the evidence you have provided, use, therefore. It is perfect for drawing a conclusion based on your previous points, such as, therefore, governments must invest more in public transport. When you reach the end of your writing, use "in conclusion" to signal the start of your closing paragraph. For example, in conclusion, balanced policies offer the most reliable path forward. For a slightly lighter alternative to "quite in conclusion," you can use the phrase "to sum up." It effectively summarizes your points, as in, to sum up, both sides raise valid points, but cooperation wins. That concludes our guide. We hope these phrases help you write with more confidence. Remember to bookmark this video and practice one essay each week. Good luck with your studies.